Welcome back to Revolutionizing Your Ride. My name's Hunter Smith. This is the web video series Talk All Things Commercial Truck EV, and today we're going to talk about regenerative braking. But before we talk about regenerative braking, in a previous video I said that diesel trucks don't operate as well in a start and stop and idling environment as an electric truck does. And this is kind of a situation where I get to talk about why. Well, one of the reasons why is because when a diesel truck operates in an idling environment or a start and stop environment, it doesn't get the opportunity to run at optimum temperature. Diesel trucks need to run at a high operating temperature in order to burn off the DPF filter, which contains soot, that particulate matter that we hear about being so bad. Normally, if you're going 60 miles an hour down the highway and you got a 20 mile an hour trip, you're going to see a light come on the dash. It's going to say high exhaust temp. That means that you're doing what we call a passive regeneration. That canister that's containing all of that soot on a diesel truck is burning off the that soot so that it's not there. And whenever we're operating a garbage truck, for say, we're going into a neighborhood doing a residential collection where we're only going 5 miles an hour and then stopping, and 5 miles an hour and then stopping, 5 miles an hour and stopping. If you're operating in a diesel application, you're not generating enough heat in order to do that. So that's where we have to end up doing these regens, and we have to take the ultimately have to take the DPF filter off and cook it and do all those types of maintenance items that are just a complete pain in the behind. In an electric truck, not only do we not have a DPF filter, but we really thrive in that type of environment. The reason we thrive in that type of environment is because electric trucks are simply working on demand. So whenever I push the accelerator to go 5 miles an hour between houses, I'm really not asking a lot of the motor, and it's only using the power to get from one house to the other. And then when I stop to do my collection, if you're not asking anything of the accelerator, then it's really not using any power. Now, it is using power for the body and all those types of things. But from the fundamentals of the truck itself, what's happening is we have the opportunity at those points to use regenerative braking. So what is regenerative braking and how does it work? Well, regenerative braking basically means that when the vehicle is moving, we're going to use that motion or that kinetic energy that's, we got a 40,000 pound truck and it's moving right at you. We're going to take our foot off the accelerator and it's still got all this power, all this energy, right? We're going to utilize that energy by taking the driveline and that's coming out of the electric motor and spinning it in the opposite direction. When it spins in the opposite direction, two things are going to happen. The first thing is it's going to slow down your vehicle. It's going to slow it down, not necessarily stop it. Okay, so you're going to use that in conjunction with your hydraulic brakes to stop the vehicle. But while that is spinning, whether you're using your brake or not, while that's spinning, it is generating energy and putting it back into the battery pack. And you'll be able to see that on the dash of the Battle Motors vehicle, and most vehicles for that matter. You'll be able to see what type of power is being generated there. And it's not substantial, but it's something, okay? So instead of using power, we're creating power. Now, obviously, if I'm going down the highway at 60 miles an hour and I let my foot off the accelerator, it's going to spin faster in the opposite direction and create more energy than it would if I was in a 5 mile an hour application. But the functionality is exactly the same. So you may see a 1% increase or a few percentage points over the day. But basically, this is not a perpetual motion machine, and there's no way to make that happen. But it is generating energy and putting it back to the battery. And so that's what regenerative braking is, and that's one of the reasons why these trucks work better in an idling or a start and stop situation. Now, just for reference sake, if I'm sitting in an idle and I'm not going anywhere and I have the ignition turned on, all of the things inside the cab, be it the headlights, the radio, the air conditioner, all the air compressor, all that stuff is being powered by the 12 volt system. The 12 volt system, which is a normal battery pack like you'd see on any other vehicle, is ultimately powered by the high voltage system. So there's no alternator, but the high voltage system does power it. But all that's to say that's what's happening and that's how it works. And that's why they work really good in these environments. Because whenever all this emission stuff first started happening, Back 2002, we had EGR. Then in 2007/2008, we had the DPF filters. And then in 2010 is when we had the selective catalytic reduction with the DEF and all that. All these systems are predicated on making sure that the fuel is burning properly. And it's really hard to identify, make a road tractor, a garbage truck, a tow truck, a crane, all of these things. You can't make them run the same, okay, because they're in different applications. And because of that, it's been very hard for these trucks to operate in the right temperatures. So the tractors tend to do the best in operating in the right temperatures, but these vocational vehicles that go short distances and haul heavy loads don't tend to work in the same operating temperatures. And that's why electric is really good in those applications, because it doesn't use as much power and it does regenerative braking, and it doesn't care if we're operating at the right optimum temperature or not. So anyway, I'm Hunter Smith. That's to say, I sell all these kinds of trucks. So if you got questions about trucks, I'd love to talk to you. Give me a call or shoot me an email right there and let's talk. And I'd love to sell you a truck. Thanks so much.